P-A-S-C-A-L. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good evening. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits, because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. Oh, my Lord. We got some crazy stuff, guys. Oh, my God. As Kimberly Goyful, I don't know her name. But you remember her speech, like during the debates or something like that, a long time ago, against Biden, or like it was before Biden. There was like a whole speech thing. Trump's Donald Trump Jr.'s girlfriend at the time, Kimberly something. But anyway, she said something along the lines of like, the best is yet to come, right? And I as far as this goes, I think things are about to get crazier here in just a little bit. So, because the sun is about to go down, okay? The sun's about to go down, and it's already been insane out here in these streets, okay? I just want to make that abundantly clear. So, before we get into everything, hold on to your butts, because it's about to be a knuckin' futz ride tonight. I'm just saying that now. It's crazy what's going on. So let's get into this. Do me a favor before we get into everything. Please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, make sure you hit that follow button on those platforms, please. And thank you. I'm on all of those that I just listed. So please go and follow. Don't forget to subscribe here on my main channel. Please and thank you. Crush it. Subscribe. Yes, we are in the 70s right now. I mean, the ultimate goal is to get to 200,000. Okay, 200K. So we're trying to get to that. So if you hit that subscribe button right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. You'd be a part of the chaos, part of the family, which is the Pascal Show. Okay, speaking of family, if you want to support even further, hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And check out pascalmerch.com. You can get some nice threads like this hoodie and then some at pascalmerch.com. I'm telling you right now, the store is more than just a store filled with shirts with sayings on them. Okay? There's so much more. Classy, fantastic clothing. Go check it out. pascalmerch.com. Okay, guys. Okay, we have got to get into this. This is some crazy stuff, y'all. I got to be honest. This is some wild stuff, but I do have to ask you, what did I miss? I'm kidding. There's a lot going on out here in these streets right now. A lot of things have been set on fire. Things are getting very bad out there in the streets of LA. And I have to say, I am praying for everyone out there that is in the midst of it, because I'm sure that there are people out there that just want to live their lives, don't want to be in the middle of this situation. And now they're in the middle of this situation because, like I said, this is a big situation. And from my understanding, Trump isn't very happy about what's going on right now. No, he's very mad. He's very upset. And I have a feeling that it's only going to get worse, okay? Because it's a slew of people that have come through. A slew of people. What did I say? What did I say this morning? If you were watching the show, like I said, if you missed it, I'm sorry. You missed out on a fantastic show, fantastic coverage on what was going on, you know, as far as yesterday, the chaos, the protests that quickly rolled into riots. All right. But I'm telling you right now is exactly what Don't at me. Don't at me. Don't at me. But I'm going to say it anyway. This is exactly what Gavin Newsom was very worried about in the first place. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm on Gavin Newsom's side. All I'm saying is what he predicted is exactly what's happening right now in these streets as we speak. I'm sorry. He said it, and guess what happened? Everybody and their mama's showing out. Okay? Even people who got third cousin 7-time removed showing up to this mother-loving protest / riot. Now it's a riot. You could basically say it's a riot. Okay? It's not great. It's not good. Okay? There's a lot going on out here in these streets. And like I said, I have a feeling it's only going to get worse. Why? Because more people have shown up. Okay? We missed a lot. Okay? I'm sorry. I had things to do like life. Okay? But outside of that, I was watching. I was keeping an eye on everything. And I'm telling you right now, oh my God. At first it was, just people outside protesting what was going on, right? Yelling at the National Guard who are just listening to it, just standing there, just sitting there, just with their weapons, just chilling, just pacing back and forth, just waiting for the craziness that went down. Okay. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm not kidding. I mean, like an hour or two after I said bye, right? As soon as I cut out my feed, suddenly the people that were protesting in front of the National Guard, there was other people that were marching down the street, blocking traffic and just marching down the street. Thousands of people marching down the street. And guess where they were walking to? To where the people were at that were yelling at the National Guard. So now you got thousands of people on top of the hundreds of people that were already there in the first place. And then next thing you know, all freaking hell breaks loose. We're going to get into all of that. And we're going to look at that. And then we're going to get all the way up to date to where we are up to the time that we're at right now, which, of course, things have been set on fire. There's been a lot of vandalism, lots of craziness out here in these streets. And I'm telling you right now, I'm hoping that anybody who doesn't want to be a part of that situation, please seek shelter, get as far away from the situation as you can, because you do not want to get into the middle of this mucky muck. I'm telling you right now, you don't. All right. Lynn, thank you so much for being a member for almost a year. You're almost there. Almost there. Thank you for your continued coverage. The world is just getting too crazy these days. Yes, I agree. Okay. 2025 has been pumping with all cylinders and borrowing cylinders from other years. I swear to God, they're knocking on the door to 2026 and going, can we borrow some of your cylinders? Because we're already burning through all of them over here. Can we just borrow some? Well, I promise you we won't. We'll give them right back. 2025 has been wild. All right. But let's get into some information here, because it has been a crazy one for sure. Now, if you don't already know, just a quick heads up. All right. Tina, thank you so much for being a member for the 7 months. I appreciate it. In case you didn't know, all right, 300 National Guard members descended on Los Angeles this very morning by Donald J. Trump. Our president, he deployed those National Guards, about 2,000 troops, okay? They have moved sharply, a move sharply criticized, okay, as inflammatory and unnecessary by Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass. Now, I will say this too, okay? Yes, so we're going to be looking at everything. So Lisa Simpson, Lisa, it's your birthday. Thank you so much for letting me know that. We will look at that when we get a second, okay? Like I said, we're going to do a little bit of catch up before we get to where we are right now. But nonetheless, craziness is going on, all right? Not only are they saying National Guard, which we clearly saw this morning, deployed, sitting there, waited, suited and booted. Allegedly, they also have the Marines on standby. Oh, no, this is not a drill. This is not a joke either, okay? This is some real stuff. Allegedly, the Marines, okay? Semper Fi, mother. You know what I mean? Get you some. Hoorah. Allegedly, they are also chilling and waiting for a phone call by Trump, basically saying, okay, guys, drill, baby, drill. Go ahead and drill, baby, drill. You never know. They might be called tonight, but they are on standby right now. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. They are on standby. Unless they've been deployed. From my understanding, they are on standby right now. So this could be very bad. Okay? So we already know that the border czar, which we talked about this morning, just quick recap, defended the president's decision to deploy the troops and then warned that Newsom and Bass could be arrested if they impede operation efforts. So if they step in and try to stop things, try to slow the National Guard from National Guarding this area, they could actually get arrested their damn selves, which is insane. Demonstrators protesting federal immigration raids clashed with police in a day of chaos in Los Angeles yesterday, with further demonstrations planned for, well, that's already happening right now. And I wouldn't say that these are demonstrations. This is just absolute chaos. Okay? So, Los Angeles LAPD arrested at least 11 people last night, and I'm sure it's going to be 100 times more by the end of the night from this crazy stuff. Okay? So now we got a bunch of updates, so we're going to look at those here real quick. We're going to go all the way back. Like I said, see all the craziness? We're going to be looking at all this stuff. We're going to be looking at it real time and all that, okay? Trust and believe we will. All right? But let me get the super chat really quick. Todd, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. This needed to happen. Now Hispanics can see that that we Black people are not just wild as they think we are when they see us out here protesting. Cook, sir. You know, here's the thing. I feel like that's for any specific demographic. I feel like that's for any race, any political group, any activist groups, etc. I feel like all of them can literally look back and go, okay, now we understand, right? Because at least some group has stepped out and spoken out in some sort of way. But then, you see what I'm saying? While one group is out there protesting, the other group's sitting there going like, oh, damn, look at those crazy mother lovers doing all that crazy stuff. Then, 6 months later, it'll be that group that's sitting there going, that was criticizing that group, all right, doing what they're doing, out there doing the stuff that they were criticizing before. You see what I'm saying? It is interesting, but you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong, okay? In fact, and I'm not taking on any sides here, but I've even seen on X Black people posting, oh, this ain't our fight, y'all. Stand down. That is insane. Okay? Listen, y'all, this ain't our fight. Stand down. That's insane. Okay? Let me just say that. That is insane. If you want to speak out, speak out. All I'm saying is do it peacefully. Dag nabbit. Just do it peacefully. Okay? But let me roll back a little bit more because there is a press conference here. Okay? We're going to look at that here shortly. I'm sorry. It's just, you can't tell me that you're seeing all this and going, please, listen, I need everyone to protest peacefully, okay? When everyone is lighting things on fire. At this point, there's no point in trying to ask them to protest peacefully when they're out there burning things down. Real talk. It's just, you got to figure something else. The damage is done. You know what I mean? It's like running up to people in the middle of them throwing Molotov cocktails. Please protest peacefully as they're throwing the cocktail. You know what I'm saying? The damage is done. Now they got to figure out how to push this back, shut it down so that everyone can go to work tomorrow. and live their lives and not have to be worried about chaos in the streets while they're trying to get their kids to school. Well, actually, school's out, but as they're trying to go to work, at least, right? Okay. So there's a couple things. So they're shooting projectiles, as you could see here, and I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see this more and get out of the way of this situation. But as you can see, they use projectiles, and this is only 2 hours ago, y'all. All right. And then former Vice President Kamala Harris said that she's appalled by the scenes in Los Angeles. Oh, she suddenly shows up. Hello. Hi, former VP. But okay, saying the Trump administration's actions are, quote unquote, about stoking fear and not about public safety. She says, deploying the National Guard is a dangerous escalation meant to provoke chaos. This is what she wrote in a statement on social media. In addition to the recent ICE raids in Southern California and across our nation, it is part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. Responding to Harris's statement, so the White House spokesperson, Abigail Jackson, wrote, "We already knew Biden's border czar supported violent, criminal, illegal aliens. It's why the American people rejected her in November." Damn. Shots fired, I guess. Harris said that protest is a powerful tool. Yes, it is, when it's a peaceful protest, okay? And that the demonstrations have been overwhelmingly peaceful. It's okay, I'll hold. Has it been overwhelmingly peaceful? Holding. Okay. Adding that she supports, quote unquote, those standing up to protect our most fundamental rights and freedoms. Former second gentleman, her husband, he echoed that. Yeah, what she said, right? He said something like, let's be clear. Standing up for others in the form of peaceful protest is not a threat. It's an exercise of democracy. Well, congratulations, husband number 2. Okay, second husband. Congratulations. Yes, I agree 110% with what they're both saying. If it is peaceful, but you tell me if this whole thing is peaceful right now. You got police, you got Popo shooting out projectiles, okay? Flash bombs, smoke grenades, etc., right? Is this peaceful? Look at this chaos. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm having a hard time seeing all of through all the smoke. I'm having a hard time seeing peace. With all due respect, like I said, I've already said it a million times before. I want peace. They have every right to speak their minds and say how messed up this situation is in their opinion and all that. But again, where is the peace? I'm not seeing it through the smoke, and I'm squinting my eyes too. You know what I mean? Squinting my eyes really hard. Do you see the peace? Because I don't see it. California patrol officers in riot gear have arrived to serve as backup amid protests downtown. They're forming a line on the 101 freeway. That was 2 hours ago. Showing up in riot gear, ready for Ish to hit the mother-loving fizzans. Okay? Let's take a look at some of this. You know what's really sad about this, Tyler? And I agree with what you're saying, man. In the very beginning, it was peaceful. Yes, they were agitated, they were angry, but they were standing their ground. They were standing in, giving the National Guard space and just saying what they needed to say. And what's really sad about this whole situation is that you have people. Don't worry, I'm going to roll this back so you guys can hear the sound. But you hear people. You know for a fact when they see, oh snap, things are going down in LA. People who live in the neighboring areas or nearby, whatever it may be, they sit there and go, okay, we going down there. We going muck things up. We going to turn it all the way up to 11 and rip the mother-loving knob off. That's what's happening here too. So you got people who just want anarchy. You got people who just want chaos in the streets running in there because they know this is where the hot spot is. That's also that too. Yes, there are people there that just want to say that they're just angry and they just want their voices heard, right? And then you got people out there that just want to see chaos for chaos' sake, okay? It's sad because then everything that they're trying to go for, which is the peaceful side of things, is getting lost within all the other BS because other people have other agendas and they are trying to be in there to cause chaos for the sake of it. You see what I'm saying? They had all night to pack up their things, gather material, get their ish together, and then be here by a specific time, which is exactly what they did. And if y'all don't see that, I don't know what to tell you. A lot of people in their fifis. A lot of people in their fifis. So, of course, anti-ICE protesters clashed with authorities in Los Angeles as tensions grew amid the Trump administration's deployment of the National Guard troops to the city. The deployment made despite opposition from the mayor and the governor, was necessary to tamp down on demonstrations, the Trump administration argued. And of course, Trump has spoken out. We're going to be looking at that here very shortly as well. Like I said, we're going to do all we can to cover everything we can. And here it is. Somebody just said something. Damn it. I lost it. Hold on. I'm trying to find it again. Oh, this is frustrating. Hold on. Where did it go? Danica. Sorry. Pardon me. Sorry. Or Danekia. Hopefully I'm saying your name. Is it Danekia? I think it's Danekia. If I'm messing it up, I apologize with all due respect. I would love to talk to actual people in LA and hear their side about this. Absolutely. I would love to hear what they got to say. Absolutely. Okay. If anybody knows, let me know. Okay. Because I would like to know people who are actually in the area, boots on the ground, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'd really like to know some stuff that's really going down here. But so the mayor, said she tried to prevent National Guard from being deployed. I mean, clearly Bass and Newsom, I'm sure, tried their damnedest to not have Trump deploy the National Guard. Okay. And again, the question still remains, and I'm still here, guys, but the question still remains, is this a situation where would this situation have happened? Would we still be in this situation right now if the National Guard was not deployed? Just think about it. Would we still be in the same situation right now with the chaos that's going on in the streets right now? Would we still be in that situation right now if National Guard was not deployed? Now, I feel like some were going to say, yeah, same situation would have been the escalation would have been the same. All this would have been the same. But what Gavin Newsom And what Bass and Gavin Newsom are basically trying to say is that as soon as that was deployed, as soon as the National Guard was deployed, that augmented everything 10 times over. Solely because National Guard was deployed. That it made people so mad that it escalated the amount of protesters or rioters that are out here in these streets. So, do you think the National Guard is the cause of this escalated chaos? Or do you think that this escalated chaos was inevitable for today? That's the question I have for you guys. Moving on. So she said at a press conference, news conference tonight, that she had been in touch with the federal government for days and that she had tried to prevent this situation from happening. I was trying to encourage the administration that if they deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles, it would create a sense of chaos, she said. It's the last thing our city needs. Yeah, they just got, I'm glad they said that here because the wildfires was enough, okay? Was enough earlier this year. Remember the fires? Yeah, now we still got more chaos. She said, going from that to quote unquote where we are now is really tragic. What we're seeing in LA is chaos caused by the administration. So she's putting the blame solely on the administration, expressing her support for the First Amendment right to protest, but saying Angelenos should do so peacefully. Like I said, I agree with that part. They should be doing it peacefully. Exercise your First Amendment right, but don't burn things down. How about that? She called the deployment of the National Guard a dangerous escalation in the situation and said she has not spoken to Trump directly, but has been in touch with others in the administration. So again, she's like, please don't bring them in here. If you do, you're only going to make things worse. Please don't do that. And they still sent it over. They still sent that stuff over. Okay? But is this all because this is kind of like the which came first, the chicken or the egg type of situation? You know what I mean? It's like, would there be chaos, even more chaos, because National Guard isn't there? Or is there more chaos because the National Guard is actually there? It's just interesting, right? Let's take a look at this.
Ever imagine your life off the pill? You're not alone. Join the millions of women who switched to natural cycles.
You know,
the only
sometimes I got questions about that too, you know, whether or not to be on the pill or not, you know, something to think about. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why it won't let me mute it, but that is some savage stuff. I'm just saying, you know, girl, I don't know why it won't let me pause it. There it is. Let's try that again. Let's try that ish again. And it won't let me expand it for some strange reason, but okay. It is what it is. I'm just saying, girls. Are you thinking about getting on the pill? Okay, moving on. Let's listen to what Mayor Bass has to say.
And I just have to say that all of you were there Friday. Everybody knows what happened Friday. A workplace, several workplaces were targeted and raids took place. Now, in the beginning, the administration said they were just looking for dangerous felons, violent people. It's hard to say that that's what they found at a workplace or in a Home Depot parking lot. When this happens, it terrifies people. It sends a sense of fear and chaos in our city.
You know what I want to know is how do they know to walk into that specific Home Depot and get those particular people? How did they know for a fact, yep, you know, Rodriguez, Jorge, and, you know, Eduardo, all these three guys right there, all of them, take them in. How did they know, right? How do they know that? To walk into that particular store or that particular factory or whatever it is and just grab these people. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's so many people that are so angry about this. It's like, well, how do you know How do you even know that these people are actually illegally here? How do you know 100%? It's a crazy sweep that they're doing. Are they just grabbing every single person that has that brown skin and that's it? Or are they just like, imagine that just said, or do they have some pristine intel where they know exactly where the people are working at any given moment and any given time, right? See, now there could be illegals standing outside of the Home Depot, like Mystery Singer just said. But there's also people that are working inside, like the I forgot the place that the place that they raided, but they walked into an actual store, not just a Home Depot, but something next door, and just raided that place too. How did they know? Right? How did they know? I'd just like to know, right? And maybe they did do their homework. That's possible too. But I'm sure people are still wondering, like, damn, you just walked in and just started taking everybody. That's crazy, right? So, of course, without the information, without the reasonable information, people are going to start making up things, right? Is it racial profiling? Is it just because his name happens to be Jorge Rodriguez that suddenly he's getting arrested or suddenly he's getting detained and thrown out? And it's like, yo, I got my papers, man. What the hell? You know what I mean? I'm just wondering, is this brute force without precise precision, without precision? Or is this very, very finite work? That's the question. I'm just saying. I'm saying what people are saying out here in these streets. Okay? I'm just saying what people are saying out here in these streets. People are upset. This is what they're feeling. So it is what it is.
And you well remember a few years ago in the last administration that kids were afraid to go to school. Parents were afraid to go to work. This impacts all of our city. You can't terrify the workforce, and then expect for people to get the jobs done. So if you think about a father that went into a factory and now his family doesn't know where he is, the detainees have not been allowed to speak to legal counsel. That is a marked departure from what has happened in the past. When you think of a mother that might be working in a household, taking care of children on another side of town, that impacts that family as well as her family. And so this is something that I think should not be happening in our city. And I join with the governor in appealing to the administration to rescind the order to federalize the National Guard and allow the National Guard to come back under the control of the governor. No.
You know what I'm kind of curious about too? I want to see what's going to happen when they actually I want to see what National Guard's actually going to do. Because they're supposed to be there to quell the chaos, right? So where's that? You know what I'm saying? But okay.
No, my disappointment is I've been talking to the federal government for days. I was hoping to prevent this situation from happening. I was trying to encourage the administration that if they deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles, it would create a sense of chaos. It's the last thing our city needs. Our city is still trying to recover from the wildfires. And you just think about how so many people were impacted by that. And that's an example of where the administration was helpful. And to go from that situation to where we are now is just really tragic. And I think it's so unfortunate. It's the last thing Los Angeles needs. I was encouraging him not to deploy the National Guard. I knew that the order had been given. The president had signed the order to the governor that he was federalizing the National Guard, that 2,000 troops were going to be deployed, but that didn't mean that they would actually be deployed onto our streets.
Wow. Okay, we're moving on. So at least 5 Waymo vehicles go up in flames. So they burned a whole bunch of these cars, okay? At least 5 vehicles branded with Waymo driver SUVs promoting Autonomous driver-free rides in LA went up in flames during the late afternoon's protest, creating black plumes of smoke and raging flames. Okay. So of course we're seeing all that happening right now. They're vandalized, they're up in flames, etc. Right? 500 Marines. Here we go. 500 Marines. This is 53 minutes ago. 500 Marines are on standby should they be needed in LA area. 500 suited and booted good old boys waiting from the 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines are ready to deploy and provide backup to the National Guard troops on ground, okay, on the ground in LA. All right. So this is what U.S. Northern Command said this evening. Okay. So not very long ago. So the Marines, all right, garrisoned at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms, about 150 miles east of downtown Los Angeles, are at the ready should they be necessary to augment and support the DoD's protection of federal property and personnel efforts. This is what Northcom said in a statement. So far, 2,000 California Army National Guard soldiers have been activated, but only about 300 have been deployed to protect federal personnel and property in the greater LA area. That's according to the Northcom statement. They are in Los Angeles, Paramount, and Compton. So Newsom says, I guess he's saying Trump escalating the situation amid Marine deployment threat. So Trump is escalating the situation with threats to deploy 500 Marines to the protests on the streets of LA, Gavin Newsom said on social media. So the governor said protests are already being managed by the Los Angeles Police Department, and he urged people to please be peaceful. But of course, that's not happening right now. Los Angeles, remain peaceful. Don't fall into the trap that extremists are hoping for, he said. Let's say that again. And this is a little bit old news now, okay? But he said this a few hours ago. And he said, please remain peaceful. Don't fall into the trap that extremists are hoping for. And guess what's happening in the streets right now? Chaos. Okay? Let's see what they have. They got a new update, I think, 6 minutes ago. So, of course, the Waymo, these driverless rides, okay? They're suspending its service in downtown Los Angeles after multiple vehicles erupted in flames amid protests. The company's like, no, don't touch my cars. Why are you touching my cars? Damn, right? So the company offers rides from Santa Monica to Marina del Rey and east to downtown along the 10 freeway, all right, south of the Santa Monica Mountains and the Hollywood Hills. We will not be serving any rides in the protest area until it is deemed safe, the Waymo spokesperson said. And of course, there's all kinds of footage of these cars going up in flames. Now, we're going to be looking at some footage because there's a lot of footage going on. Let's take a look at this. Diggity damn. Let's see what's going on, baby.
Exactly, yeah. So it looks like the California Highway Patrol pushed the protesters off of the 101. And since then, we're seeing this situation where the protesters kind of have the higher ground on top of members of law enforcement. They've abandoned their vehicles at this point, and the vehicles are taking a massive beating from these protesters. And sometimes we'll see members of law enforcement step out. Come on out, pussies!
He has a whole F the police shirt. Did he have that sitting on standby waiting for this moment? I mean, damn.
Hey, what's up, man? you had to guess what time
You got to understand, like, some of these people.
No, I actually think, I'm not sure.
Some of these people are going to get, some of these people are going to get ID'd. I'm telling you.
You know what my poster says? My poster says,
some people are just being dumb. I'm going to roll it back a little bit. All right?
All right, I'll let you
and
know.
I'll come back to this for sure. But I want to see some of the.
All right, sounds good.
Like, there's some crazy stuff going on. We're just going to go through a little bit of this, okay? Boom. Let's take a look at some of this real quick, and then we're going to go back up to live. I promise. Look at that car. That was a car, y'all. That was a car. Wow. Are we in Sarajevo or something? What's going on here? This is crazy, y'all. I'm just scrubbing through a little bit so we can see a little bit of what's going on, okay? And this is broad daylight. Look at this, y'all. What is this? What are they using? Oh, wow. Those I don't even know what they're called. Those little stands. Those A stands. Shooting just tear gas and all kinds of stuff at people. And they just keep coming back to this. That's wild that those used to be cars, y'all. There's an aerial shot of that. These are multiple cars. Bang, 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 bang. 5 different cars just up in flames. Well, at least they're not going crazy and destroying the bus. Probably filled with people. Let's go down here. Wow. It's just crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty chaotic right now. We're looking down at the 101. This is where CHP has parked their vehicles. There was a takeover here a couple of hours ago by those protesters, and since then, CHP has parked their cars up here. And I don't know, you can see them right now underneath that overpass. They've been firing those flashbangs up at protesters. And then if we pan this direction, You can see some of the items that have been thrown on top of those cars. That big bang right there, possible flashbang. You can see scooters and rocks, all those items thrown down on top of law enforcement. The protesters now on top of the overpass, still throwing those items. It is nonstop, and about a block away is where we saw those Waymos on fire. As for LAPD, we're only seeing California Highway Patrol at this certain location. A couple blocks away towards City Hall, there was a massive LAPD presence. It seems like they've kind of been pushed this direction. But for now, that's what we're seeing, as it's pretty intense out here. Sometimes police firing back at the protesters with those flashbangs and those rubber bullets from down on the freeway. Go ahead and send it back to you.
Sorry, getting some more video and all that. Hold on. We'll be coming back to that more and more as time goes on. There is more. I'm sorry. Hold on. We got to look at something. When was the last time you ever saw anyone? Hold on. That's a new one. Hold on. Hopefully we can see it. Hold on. Right here. When was the last time you ever saw? You see where my mouse is? That woman, that looks at least like a woman. Okay. When was the last time you ever saw a person wearing a gas mask on their cell phone? Have you ever seen that in your entire life? I'm going to tell you something. I ain't never seen that in my entire life. What is she saying on that in that phone call? You know what I mean? Wouldn't it sound just like this?
Like that, and going down to saying the situation to try to restrict. There's a day right now in the situation.
Like, you're not going to be able to hear anything. So what? I'm sorry. How's she having a coherent conversation right now? Okay. Can they hear what she is saying? I'm sorry. Of all the things, of all the chaos in this whole picture right here, the one thing I pick out is the girl on the cell phone with the doggone gas mask on the face. Okay? You know, honey, we can't understand what you're saying.
I can't take off the mask because I hate the mask on. They're going to see who I am. And that gets me into serious amount of trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
Honey, no. Honey, we're just asking you what you want to eat. We'll just give you two choices. Okay? Enchiladas or hamburgers? How about this? One, just say, for one of them. Okay? I'm here all day, everybody. Man, people are angry. Did you hear that woman? She's like the lead singer of like an emo band or something like that. You know for a fact she is. Okay, let's continue. skipping ahead a little bit. Crazy. Full-on war zone down there, guys. Full-on war zone. Crazy. This is chaos. Looks like somebody's getting arrested back there. What was that? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Well, we found Sasquatch. Or is that Harry from Harry and the Hendersons? That's a deep cut. Anybody remember that movie? Welcome to LA, everybody. This coverage is absolutely crazy. I'm going to be real. The coverage here, like the way that they've been able to hop from one place to the other and they're live streaming all this is pretty damn amazing. I'm going to be real. The coverage on this has been really, really good because they got cameras in so many different areas and they're able to just, this is crazy, right? It's very good. It's very good coverage. Let's see what they're saying. It back. Whoa.
rocks over there. It's almost like, yeah, don't dig it.
So I'm going to keep this rolling, but there are some things that I'm going to be reading off on the side here. So here we go. Of course, we already know about the Waymo car service. They're suspending things until this whole thing ends. Newsom is in a meeting with law enforcement leaders in Los Angeles. Okay. He's meeting with the heads of the Los Angeles Police Department and the LA County Sheriff's Department today or tonight. He said on social media that the local and state emergency officials seek to maintain public safety during the protests that are, quote unquote, provoked by chaos from Washington. Wow. So they're basically, wow. Gavin Newsom is saying that this is being provoked by chaos from Washington. I'm sorry, I got to hit the button on that. Wow. Wow. Okay, shots fired from Gavin Newsom towards the Trump administration. They said he says, we're here to keep the peace, not play into Trump's political games, he said. This is interesting. Because right now, what we're seeing, and you know what, I might just pull this up so you guys can see this too. But what's going on right now is it is a political blame game. Yeah, I said it. The political game blame. Yeah, because now it's like, oh, well, what's going on what's going on in LA isn't my fault. It's his fault. Or it's no. It's not my fault. It's his fault, right? So it's this. You know that Spider-Man meme where there's a bunch of Spider-Mans pointing fingers at each other? That's exactly what's going on right now. No, it's not my fault. It's his fault. Oh, if everything goes to ish, it ain't my fault. It's his fault. And that's exactly what's going on. Let me show this to you guys real quick. Don't worry, I'm bringing this back. All right. And if you guys can please do me a favor, okay? I see a bunch of y'all watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you, okay? Crush that subscribe button as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. All right. We are watching this. We're going to be here for a little bit, okay? Covering all this and seeing what happens when the sun actually goes down. But as you can see, the sun has not gone down yet. Wow. Oh, I need to show you guys this. This cop car got destroyed. Hold on. I'm going to have to show that to you guys here in a second. But I just want you to see the actual thing. So you guys know that I'm not making this up. This is him saying this. This is Gavin Newsom saying this, okay? He is literally with LAPD and LA County Sheriff's Department all in a room. And they're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to figure out. They're just trying to figure out how to stop it. That's one thing for sure. Okay. Yes, this is one big political blame game. That's what we're seeing right now. It's his fault. No, it's his fault, which is very interesting. Okay. It doesn't matter what side you were on. We can all look at that and go, yep. They're trying to point blame at each other. So this is what he said. Okay, he's meeting with the heads of Los Angeles, the LAPD, and the LA County Sheriff's Department. Okay, he said, we're here to keep the peace, not play into Trump's political games. Okay, he said on social media that local and state emergency officials seek to maintain public safety during protests that were, quote unquote, provoked by chaos from Washington. Right there. In black and white. Crazy. Let's continue on. We already know about that BS. Hold on. Let me see if there's any other new. Nope, we already know about that. renew call for peaceful protest, which we already knew about. And these are not peaceful protests. You're about to see a cop car that just got destroyed. Here's the other thing too. Now FBI is offering a reward to catch protesters who allegedly attacked an officer in Paramount. So the FBI released several photos of men who investigators believed attacked a federal police officer and vandalized federal property. So the federal agents said people offering information that leads to the identification, arrest, and conviction of these particular suspects could get a reward up to $50,000. $50K, guys. That's a lot of quiche. Because an officer was attacked brutally, apparently. Okay? Suspects were seen near Alondra Boulevard in Paramount at around 3:30 p.m. today. Okay? Or Saturday. I'm sorry. So one of the wanted men in this is this person who is shown on video throwing rocks at law enforcement vehicles. So again, I mean, I don't know how you can make out who these people are, but maybe you'll see a T-shirt and go, "Oh, that was my baby. He was wearing that on his way out the door. He said he was going to yoga class or something like that." I don't know, but it's like, oh my God, that's my kid, right? Well, you might get $50K for ratting out on your own kid. So hey, anything's possible now, right? We all need to make money somehow, right? Right? I digress. Still, nonetheless, bad things are happening. Let's take a look at this. I just want look at what they did to that windshield in that car, and then look at this car right here. They rocked that car. Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. Hold on. I'm rolling it back. It's smoke. Don't worry, we're coming back to this. I'm trying to hop around to a bunch of different places because, a lot of things are staying in one spot. Like they are trying to set this car on fire. Literally, they're trying to set this cop car on fire just a little bit ago. See, it's starting to smoke. As you guys can see there. So a lot of places are just kind of getting different angles from the same spot. But, people are moving around. People are going to different places and all that. So let me just see what else we got here. Because obviously this is not This is not getting any better. And then once the sun goes down, this may not be what we want. People may not want to be there. Yeah, a lot of it is the same stuff. Hold on. Same angles, same spots. So it does make you wonder, like, are people getting tired and going home? That's a dumb question, right? But everyone pretty much is staying pretty stuck on they're staying pretty stuck in one spot for the most part. And it's the spot that we've been looking at this entire time. And I'm telling you right now, when the sun goes down, this is about to be nuts. I'll tell you what. But in the meantime, there's a few things I want to pull up here. So hold on.
News Nation political contributor Kurt Bardella and former RNC spokeswoman Elizabeth Pipko
to be there.
Welcome both. Elizabeth, why don't we start with you? Was calling the National Guard really essentially over Newsom's head
They spit,
right
we
move
hit.
for President Trump to make, or is that behind some of the escalation we're seeing today?
No, I think when you look at what's going on here, it's kind of hard to say that it was the wrong move. The fact is, people that are claiming this is mostly peaceful are either not looking at the facts or in complete denial, because the fact is the videos that I've seen are completely terrifying. And President Trump was elected to be the president of the entirety of the United States of America. And California citizens are in danger. Obviously, our law enforcement is in danger. And when you look at what's going on, I think the only obvious response would be calling in the National Guard, especially when you have local leadership that doesn't want to take action. And I would assume, based on the results of the last election and based on what I have heard from Americans around the country, most would agree with President Trump's actions to try to save one of our most beautiful states, which is California.
I mean, Kurt, do you agree? And it is relatively unprecedented. This is the first time since 1992 that the National Guard has been federalized. Was this the right move?
I'm of the mindset that if the state leadership and the city leadership says they don't need that help, they don't require that assistance, then it should be left to governors and mayors. I'm one of those people who was Republican back in the day because I believed in local control, state control, that the federal government should have the smallest footprint possible. And Republicans oftentimes, when they have policies that they don't want to deal with, say, well, the state should decide. We should punt this to the states. Now, all of a sudden, when they think it's a politically advantageous issue like immigration, which frankly it is, they're all about nationalizing. They're all about federalizing. So there's a bit of a inconsistency in what belongs to the states and what doesn't. If the governor and the mayor are saying, yeah, we don't need this right now, you should respect that state sovereignty. I don't understand why the president's taking this unprecedented action, other than he thinks the politics and the optics work for him, which frankly they do.
Elizabeth, I want to play quickly Democratic and progressive lawmakers sounding the alarm over this activation. We have a clip from Senator Bernie Sanders, and then we have President Trump's response. Let's take a listen.
We have a president who is moving this country rapidly into authoritarianism. This guy wants all of the power. He does not believe in the Constitution. He does not believe in the rule of law. My understanding is that the governor of California, the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, did not request the National Guard, but he thinks he has a right to do anything he wants.
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden.
Okay, Elizabeth, any credence to Sanders' claims?
Troops everywhere.
No, obviously not. And I can tell you, I believe that this would have happened regardless of what Donald Trump actually chose to do, because people like Bernie Sanders are always on the front lines to attack Donald Trump, regardless of whether they actually deep down genuinely agree with his actions or not. The fact is, you said it yourself, this has become very politicized. And just like it might be advantageous for Donald Trump as
first off, hold on. Of course it's politicized. What do you think is going on? Of course there's going to be people that are talking and turning this into a political situation. This is a political situation. So of course there's going to be talk of political talk. But I am kind of curious to hear what the other side thinks about this too. I've noticed that with News Nation, there's been a lot of right-winged people that are very much on the side of Trump deploying this National Guard. It'd be nice to hear another side, right? Another side of the argument here, just to even it out a little bit. But I've noticed so far that we've pulled up two different videos from News Nation, and both of them have been very hardcore for what's going on, for the what Trump is doing and all that. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that I don't agree with the National Guard being there or anything of that sort, but I would like to hear an opposing view. You see what I'm saying? But I haven't seen that yet. Maybe just the general consensus is that Trump did the right thing here, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe there are, maybe there are some liberals that sit there and go, yep, what Trump did was the right thing. There's chaos out there, right? But I want to hear a liberal actually say that, dagnabbit.
As Kurt said, it might be very advantageous for those in their own state of California to allow this lawlessness to continue. I think all Americans elected Donald Trump to lead for them, and when their local leadership is not going to respond to actual danger in their streets, the only person we can rely on is Donald Trump, and thank God he's there to lead.
Kurt, your thoughts on Sanders' claims, and we also see Newsom posting on X, these are the acts of a dictator and not a president. More dictator rhetoric that we've spoken about in the past. Is this the moment?
Well, it's highly unusual, again, when you have the governor and the mayor saying we do not require the support for the president to say, well, I think differently, I'm sending in the National Guard. Like you're sending in help that wasn't requested, which is, again, it's just unusual, and it makes you ask the question of why. I also find it really ironic that we hear this president talk about law and order and that no one's allowed to, put their hands on, spit on law enforcement, when he was the very president who pardoned those who were part of the January 6th insurrection, who did just those things to United States law enforcement, to Capitol Police, and he gave them a pardon. He called them political prisoners. Any effort to hold those people accountable, he completely wiped away. So you don't get to parade around as the law and order president when every time we open a news story, you're pardoning white-collar criminals left and right. So again, it's the inconsistency that bothers me. I personally believe, listen, if law enforcement says you are illegally here, they have every right to go in and remove you. I have no problem with that. If you attack a police officer, you should be held accountable. But from a political perspective, you cannot be okay with January 6th and then turn around and use the word insurrection right now in Los Angeles and act like you're the person that's going to hold up law and order. It doesn't add up.
Kurt Bardella, Elizabeth Pipko, appreciate you both.
Interesting. What are your thoughts on that, guys, with what you just heard? Very interesting stuff. We got to pull up this. We're going to take a look at this. Hold on. Another thing from News Nation.
Well, right now it's still daylight,
quite curious about this.
I'm thinking that it could potentially, what we're seeing now is a huge startup for when the sun goes down, when activity really kicks off. My FBI brethren, Bobby Chacon, said just a little while ago, he used a perfect term, that the mayor poured fire on this, and that is exactly what we're seeing. And this fire right here, LA has to remember, it almost burnt down just a few months ago. And when we start to see this type of actions, it is no longer a peaceful protest. It doesn't matter that some people stand around. The reality is this has gone from a protest to a riot, and it's actually been that way for about 3 days now. And this is the perfect example of where the National Guard could be used. Usually they're a buffer or a blocking force as an augment to law enforcement. But when we get to this point, this is exactly why President Trump pushed and activated the National Guard in that area. And even the mayor said that this is how incompetent she is. She said that she knew they were being activated, but she didn't think that they would actually be on the street. So I don't know what she thinks, but this is exactly why. That incompetence, these rioters, equal the National Guard being called up, and that the mayor wasn't going to do it, the governor wasn't going to do it, then the president did the right thing. And this is why citizens should not have to deal with this kind of nonsense. That I will say this, if we look at this historically over the past decade, This is not about Mexicans being deported. This is about the left organized, and many of these protesters are organized and shipped all over the country. They can start a protest, they can start a riot within a couple of hours anywhere in the country. That's how organized they are. We see the same tactics, we see the same uniforms and outfits that they wear, and right now, what's happening, it's still daylight. If law enforcement and the National Guard get a hold on this and push these people out of there, they will win for tonight. And that's what they need to start thinking about, not waiting until the evening. They need to be active right now.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Is the National Guard going to actually do that? Push back right now when the sun is still up. Now, let me just let you know. Actually, let's find out. I'm checking out what time does the sun set in Los Angeles. They say so 8:03. Shoot. 8:03 p.m. is when the sun sets, okay, in LA. Just so y'all know. The sun sets down in LA in about 6 minutes or so. All right? And then it's darkness. You know, there's that little golden hour, and that golden hour happens like super fast, and then it goes dark. So this is going to be very interesting, but they should have already been doing what this particular ex-FBI agent is saying. National Guard is there to use their muscle, right? During the day too. So why hasn't there been any action from them to, shut it down early? Scare these folks back home, whatever the hell you need to do, right? So that tonight is peaceful. We haven't seen that yet now, have we? So again, I'm kind of curious about what's going on, right? Has there been reports of looting? I have not heard anything about any looting at all, but I will take a look. Okay, let me take a look here. Let me play a little bit of this video, and then we're going to go back to the live stuff, okay? But this guy's basically saying this has nothing to do with, Mexicans being deported and all that. Well, I'm going to be real. I think it was in the very beginning, and now it has augmented. It has escalated to something brand new. Now it's just a bunch of people that are just out there. I agree with that. I think that there's people out there just causing a ruckus, causing chaos, because this is a massive amount of people in comparison to what it was yesterday. And you guys got to understand that yesterday's stuff was crazy too, but it's like it's quadrupled, if not more in size, guys. All right. So again, more and more of these people just showed out of nowhere. And you got to remember, like I said before, like I said earlier, there are people that are going to look at it and go, oh, there's some chaos going on. And did they just say that the National Guard is there? Oh, we rolling up. We coming through, bruh. Let's go. Say less, man. And again, yes, Nendo, right? Yes, there are people that are very mad. Absolutely. There's a lot of people that are mad for their own specific reasons. Again, you see Mexican flags, you see American flags, you see all different kinds of flags that are out there, right? Are they all really there specifically for this particular situation about ICE? I don't know. I feel like it's starting to turn into a cornucopia, okay? It's a jambalaya, if you will, okay? A jambalaya. It's a mixed bag of all kinds of different people that have their own agendas, have their own anger. That's what it seems like right now. But maybe it'll be different here in a second. I don't know. Okay. But that's the vibe that I'm getting. Okay. Jet Black just said, I saw a rainbow flag earlier. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of other people that are there and probably being like, hey, we stand with, we stand with the people that are against ICE too. Yeah, F the ICE. You know what I mean? That could be it too. But the fact that it is escalated to numbers like this in less than 24 hours is insane. Okay. So, and yes, June is Pride Month. It most definitely is. But still, you know, it's just very interesting. Let's continue. Let's hear what he got to say.
And we hear KTLA, our affiliate on the ground, reporting that about half a dozen cars are now on fire. And that one we were zoomed into moments ago, it does appear to be a Waymo. There was the self-driving technology on the top of that car. But again, LAPD reporting that demonstrators were stopping these cars driving on Los Angeles north of Arcadia Street. And then setting them on fire. It's incredibly disturbing to see. I mean, you mentioned the National Guard now being deployed to the LA area today. How long would you expect them to stay here, given the severity of the situation now?
Well, I think they were originally deployed because ICE was being attacked and federal agents were being attacked, and they weren't able to do their job. But now this is occurring where now you're starting to see potential loss of life. You're definitely seeing damage of private property and even potentially public property. If the governor is not going to do something, look right there now, you're seeing two fires where there was just one. If the governor is not going to stop this and the mayor is not going to push the power forward and tell the people to go home, although I don't think that's going to have any bearing on this crowd, then it is in the president's authority to go out there and protect the public. That if the governor of a state is not going to do it, the president can step in there and do it. This, I can tell you right now, is not only going to spread in that city, it's going to spread around the country. And these fires, what we're seeing right here, I think is the beginning of potential something greater than just a riot. I think you may start to see some buildings burn here pretty soon.
It's incredibly concerning. You know, these protests in LA County seem larger in scope than any that we've seen thus far during the current immigration crackdowns by the Trump administration.
You know, what's crazy is if that is actually what's going to go down, then this is going to be one hell of a night. I got to be real. It's going to be one hell of a night. When the lights go down in the city. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might be bad. It might be really bad. It just might be. But we'll see what happens. Let's see what's going on. Cops are getting all suited and booted. They're getting even more ready. Maybe they got their cup of coffee, maybe a couple donuts. It's crazy. Did you see how they move fast? They just move fast. Yeah, they're on horseback. Okay, they're on horseback. They are ready to go. Do I think this is going to spread into each state? No, I don't. I don't. For a second there, I thought there would be a spread into each state, but right now, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. But we'll see. It depends on what happens tonight. It all goes down with what happens tonight, right? Let's see what's going on. Like, you know, the sun is going down. Sunset has already been setting. Okay. And they only have like a few, like what, 10, 15 minutes of sunset. And then it's night. It's nighttime. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the course of the night. Please do me a favor, guys. All right. Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. All right, let's get to 1K if you can. This is what we're waiting for. I'm hoping that, of course, I hope that everything can stay cool, calm, and collected, that it doesn't escalate. But everyone's spectating, everyone's predicting that it's about to hit the fan. So let's see if that's actually correct, right? Of course, don't forget to subscribe. All right. And then, of course, just a quick reminder, tomorrow I'll be live around 10 a.m. Central Standard Time covering the Diddy trial. Okay. The Diddy trial is still going on, and we are still watching that and still covering that. So that's going on tomorrow. And of course, if there's any craziness or any protests that are going on tomorrow as well, tomorrow night, most likely we will cover that in the nighttime as well. So it's going to be crazy 24-hour action right here on the Pascal Show. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have that notification bell on as we see the sun slowly fade into darkness, as the day starts to slowly fade into nighttime. We're watching that in real time right now as police scramble to get ready for whatever is about to unfold as soon as the sun goes down. This is a very interesting thing here, okay? Of course, Andy, thank you so much for the support. Just so you know, Miss Gen X, some people believe that Antifa is already there. Just so you know. Okay.
Thank you. First of all, I know it's a very, very busy time. Thank you all for coming here tonight and allowing us the opportunity to be able to brief the public a little bit about what's going on and what we've been doing, and truly an ask for peace throughout our city. I'm joined here by Gerald Woodyard, Deputy Chief from Operations West Bureau, Herman Hurtado, Commander from Professional Standards Bureau, and from Operations Central Bureau, Raul Jovel, who's also the Incident Commander for Central Bureau and for this incident. So I want to just take an opportunity to speak directly to the people of Los Angeles, clarify LAPD's roles in the events that have been playing out over these past couple of days. This includes our response to protests, our public safety responsibilities, and recent claims that you've seen made by some federal officials. Today I met with Governor Newsom, Mayor Bass, U.S. Attorney General of the Central District of California, Bill Aseli, and ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons. Let me begin by reaffirming a core principle. The LAPD supports and protects the First Amendment right to free speech. In recent days, many protests across the city have been peaceful, and we thank the community for expressing their views and their frustration in a responsible manner. However, when peaceful demonstrations devolve into acts of vandalism or violence, especially violence directed at innocent people, law enforcement officers, and others, we must respond firmly. An act of violence, whether toward officers, demonstrators, or the public, will be met with swift and lawful action. Our goal is to maintain order without escalating conflict and to protect everybody's right to safety. Recent public statements have misrepresented LAPD's action from an incident the other night. Specifically, there was a claim that LAPD delayed responding to a federal officer's request for assistance by more than 2 hours. When we heard that, I think anybody who's a police officer couldn't believe it, and certainly anyone with LAPD couldn't imagine how that would happen. Well, it didn't happen, and I just want to go into that just a little bit. LAPD was not given advance notice that the federal operations would occur in that area. As a result, we were not pre-positioned to respond immediately to unrest related to those actions. Once the call for assistance came in, LAPD responded within 38 minutes. And that sounds like a long time, but I'll tell you why that is. The response was impacted by traffic, crowd density in the area with unrest occurring, hazardous conditions caused by tear gas that was previously deployed by federal agents at that location. Many of our officers, because it was put together in a mobile field force configuration without advance notice, were not equipped with gas masks. But despite these challenges, we moved in quickly and as safely as possible. At no point did LAPD ignore or intentionally delay any request for help. I also want to be unequivocally clear. The Los Angeles Police Department does not participate in or coordinate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement on civil immigration enforcement. We've said this over and over again, and I can't stress it enough for the people in our community who have high levels of anxiety about this issue, that we want everybody to believe and be able to call the LAPD in time of need if they've been a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime. We need that. Otherwise, the system does not work. That has been our policy and remains our policy, and it went into effect in 1979. So 46 years ago, that's been the way we do business. On the other hand, however, when a law enforcement agency, any agency, requests emergency assistance to protect lives, we are obligated to respond, and we do. Public safety is our duty, and we will answer every legitimate call for help from anyone. We recognize that immigration enforcement operations can cause a deep fear and anxiety, particularly in immigrant communities. That's why we're committed to transparency, accountability, and treating every Angelino with respect, regardless of their immigration status. Our job is not to divide communities or to politicize law enforcement. Our job is simply to keep everyone safe. I want to express my sincere appreciation to all of our officers and partner agencies for their dedication and professionalism during these very challenging times. Their commitment to upholding the law, even in the face of hostility, is a reflection of the values that we stand for. We're working together to keep everyone safe, our officers and the public alike, and this remains our top priority. We'll continue to support peaceful protests and enforce the law when criminal acts occur. The LAPD remains focused on its core mission to protect lives, safeguard constitutional rights, and serve every neighborhood in Los Angeles with integrity. Let me open it up now for any questions you might have or any points that we can clarify.
Chief, the governor made a very strong statement that he didn't believe the Trump administration needed to activate those National Guard troops and take control of those National Guard troops and send them to the area because he felt we had adequate safety protections officers here. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, if I don't know what basis they used to make that decision, but if that was based on what I delineated here about the perceived lack of response to a help call by an outside agency, that did not happen. We did respond with mobile field force configuration. And just to explain that, a mobile field force is a configuration of people or officers within the organization that we bring in from around the city. We declare a tactical alert so we can break them away from their primary duties of answering radio calls to be able to come in, form up. They're trained in this tactic into a configuration of 4 squads or a platoon that are led by a mobile field force leader. They then go 4 deep in the car and they drive into the impacted area, and that way they can safely go in a large group of officers and able to handle whatever they come across. If we were to send in a single unit or a couple of units into a riotous scene, certainly they'd be surrounded and the outcome would probably not be good. And so this is a configuration that has worked for us, developed here, worked for us for many years, but it doesn't happen instantaneously. So we have to call in units, we have to meet at a certain location, they get the information they need to operate in the environment, and then they go and they take care of business. And so that takes a little bit of time. For us to be able to get in there in about 35 minutes is pretty much textbook. So while we'd love to be able to say we can get there in seconds or minutes, in the reality of a situation of civil unrest, we got to do it right, we got to do it safely for everybody involved.
Hold on. So go one at a time, please, and let's identify name and outlet.
Victor with Univision. Chief, we have seen 2 kinds of groups, at least from Friday, Saturday, and today that have been working. The community that is enraged and they're not happy with the actions of ICE, and then the community that loots and attacks and destroys our city. What would be your direct message to both groups?
Yeah, to the people who are not happy with the fact that ICE is in the community doing what ICE does, you know, I respect ICE for being a fellow law enforcement agency. They have their mission, they have their what they have to do. We don't engage in that activity, but again, we can't preclude them from doing that. They have every right to do that. I ask people in the community to trust the LAPD, that we're not there for that purpose, and that if they have something they need us to be able to address, we're there for them. As far as the big picture of what can I recommend they do or not do, that's something it's a federal issue, and the federal authorities have the right to be able to do what they're doing. As far as people are worried about the violence that we're seeing, this violence that I've seen is disgusting. It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident. What we saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse and more violent. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. And we have adapted our tactics to be able to have a chance to be able to take these people into custody and to be able to hold them accountable. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing. They'll take backpacks, and the backpack will have a cinder block in it. They have a hammer, and they'll break up the cinder block and use that, pass it around to throw at officers, to throw at cars, and throw at other people. We've seen people with hammers, and you've broadcasted, breaking the bollards behind the federal building and taking the rocks, if you will, or pieces of concrete, and throwing them at officers. We've had liquid of who knows what description thrown at officers. There's no limit to what they're doing to our officers. And again, as I mentioned in my statement, I can't thank our folks enough and our partner agency police officials for going out there and taking care of the community and trying to be able to put themselves between the threat and the overall community. And they do this night in and night out. And in these past couple of nights, we've seen it at a level that I think disgusts every good person.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Carmen,
sir.
NBC.
Thank you. Carmen Dickerson, NBC4. Thank you so much, Chief. You just described some pretty violent and chaotic situations. What is your position on the National Guard being deployed? Do we need them here?
Well, you know, it's an interesting question, because I would have said that, you know, we could handle this, I believe, be able to brief the public a little bit about what's going on and what we've been doing, and ask, truly an ask for peace throughout our city. I'm joined here by Gerald Woodyard, Deputy Chief from Operations West Bureau, Herman Hurtado, Commander from Professional Standards Bureau, and from Operations Central Bureau, Raul Jovel, who's also the Incident Commander for Central Bureau and for this incident. So,
we're going to see what happens here as the sun is now, looks like, completely out. But I'm going to check a couple other places because obviously there's a lot. There's a lot going on. Just want to see if there's what else is going on. Let's take a look at this. Maybe everybody went home. I'm kidding. But maybe everybody, maybe everybody's getting ready. I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say, where is everybody? See, like, if you notice, I mean, this is still a lot of people, right? But this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting to see what happens here. Hold on real quick. Madam Esther, thank you so much. POTUS refused to deploy the National Guard to the Capitol. Yep, on J6. True. That is true. But didn't hesitate to use it in LA.
Wrought iron gate.
But didn't hesitate to use it on folks in LA, right? Who look vastly different than the J6ers. I mean, that is not an observation. Let's be real, okay? That is true. It is true. In fact, he's like, what did he say? Something about like stand by or something crazy like that too. Okay, this is a very long time. The J6 thing happened a while ago. I don't, but he basically like stand back and stand by, something crazy like that. Stand down and stand by, some weird. I don't know. But anyway, regardless, yeah, he didn't call National Guard on that situation. Hell no, he didn't. Right. But now we're in this situation. Right. So let's take a look at this. This is interesting. What's going on here? What's going on here?
Can you get a little to the right? Just more line down the street.
Don't worry, going back and forth. Hold on.
But it also, on a normal situation, not that big a deal. But in a situation like we saw here in the past couple of days, it turns out to be a very big deal. So we're going to continue to work with the partners that I mentioned and many others as we go forward to try and be able to make things as safe for everybody as we can.
All right, Spectrum.
Chief, how many arrests so far?
You have that?
Yes, Captain Raul Javel, Operations Central Bureau, Incident Commander. At least, this is very fluid and preliminary. At least 10 people arrested so far. There's arrests being made as we speak. About 3 officers injured. Fortunately, very fortunate on very minor injuries, or I wouldn't say not minor, but they're not significant enough to be transported to a local hospital. They were treated at the scene. But we're making more arrests as we speak, and we're trying to get into that posture where we're able to make arrests. Right now, really, our officers are really under attack. If you can see when the chief was talking about, we're trying to, first of all, ensure that our officers are safe and the public is safe. And then we'll move into, if we can arrest, we'll arrest, and then obviously protect the property and our vehicles and other things like that. But as of now, 10 arrests.
And if I could just jump on, and then 29 last night as well. And so as we move forward, we will step up our arrest posture in order to hold people accountable and do what we can to stop this violence.
We're going to go 2 more questions.
Really quick, yeah, she asked the question I have really quick. How long can we expect for this situation to happen?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
How long do you think this situation is going to be?
Yeah, for me.
EC.
Lose my phone. We got around here. Right here is good. Clean it up a little bit. I'll show you my rig later. I got a cool little setup. I even got a light and everything. But it's a I haven't figured out how to get a stable. I need like a spacer. I got two like tripods screwed in there, so I need like a spacer because one is at a higher level than the other one, so I can balance out the weight so I can put it down. CHP blocking off the freeway here.
Huh. Hold on, some information here. Is this true, T? Peaceful protesters were told to carry American flags and such to avoid being mistaken as agitators. That's interesting, T. If that's very interesting if that's true, right? And you know, I'll say this: from what we're seeing right now, I don't see a need for Marines to be brought in. I know a lot of people are like, yo, you know, bring in the Marines, you know, bring the Marines, get the Marines in here. But it's like, well, do we really need the Marines right now? We may not. But, you know, I feel like it all depends on how bad this is going to escalate, right? If this escalates into something worse, then it'll be a different story. But let's take a look at this. Interesting, right? Yeah, that is kind of clever. To
this is like
do the American flag.
Press conference is happening.
Yeah, I'm wondering where everybody is starting to walk to. You know what I mean? I mean, is everybody just going like, it's getting late, it's a school night, I got an early, I got an early day at work tomorrow. Yeah, I feel like I got what I needed to get out of my system now, so I'm out. You know what I mean? Or are they moving somewhere else? Are they starting to move down the road towards something else, right? Yep, they're all moving somewhere. Where are they all heading towards? What's this guy doing?
Yeah.
What is going on here? Where are they headed towards, man? Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any new updates.
No. No. No, no, no. No, they're headed south. They will pass the California State Building right here. This is the State Building.
I mean, they all could very well be going home. Really?
Do we want to follow this group, or do we want to go back to Elvira Street? All right, we're just keep tracking south if we can. Just stay lined up with the street.
Yeah, unfortunately, T, I can't share that. I can't show that video, but a reporter, an Australian reporter, got hit by a rubber bullet. Unfortunately, just check that out. I can't show it on here, unfortunately, but yeah, that's crazy that even happened. They're just on the sidelines, reporting the stuff that's going on, reporting the news, and then bang, getting hit. You know what I mean? That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. So, 9 News reporter was hit with a rubber bullet in L.A. So, U.S. correspondent Lauren Tomasi has been caught in the crossfire as LAPD fired rubber bullets at protesters in the heart of L.A. And this particular reporter was sitting there just doing the news, and then just on the sidelines minding her own business, and then she got hit by a rubber bullet, which is insane. Yeah, I'm wondering how bad, like what kind of damage you can get. I don't know if it's like just a really big welt, like when you get hit with like a paintball, when you get hit with a paintball gun, that kind of thing. But yeah, it would hurt. It would definitely hurt like a mug. Yeah, are you talking about Sparkle? Are you talking about AEX Live or AEX News? If that's what you're talking about, I was just showing a little bit of that just a second ago. But he was busy like fixing stuff on his phone or on his camera or something like that. Is that what you're talking about, Sparkle? Yeah, let me see. We'll come back to that. What was it called? It was like A something news, A blah 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 news. AXN news.
That was a pretty big firework, not a bottle rocket. Unless it came from over here somewhere, unless it came from a car. Did you guys see where that came from? That might have came from a car. Scared the horses. I don't know where they're throwing the fireworks from. They're throwing them from upstairs, from cars or what?
That looked like it's across the street because I didn't see no.
I know they're up there on the building or something, huh?
That makes sense.
Unless the cars are driving by.
That makes sense too.
That's like the third one I see come from over there.
I was just standing and shot me because the trend happened, but yeah, those.
Huh?
I was just standing and they shot me.
Who, the cops?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
It's like, I have to help this lady walk across the street. I was just like, what the hell, dude? It's nuts.
Yeah, it's good. Once they take fire, they return fire. You know. So you get caught up. They don't ask questions. You know.
I was like, do not go now because you're gonna.
Sound went out. Interesting nonetheless, but you know, of course, we're looking at keeping an eye on everything. Here we go. So far, it just looks like everybody's just trying to go home. So far. Apparently, Billie Eilish's brother Phineas got tear gassed. He was out there. He said the people he was with were peacefully protesting. At least that's what he says, right? I'm gonna check another one. Well, there's that fire still, I think. I'm checking another one here really quick. Hold on.
On their way out.
So Matthew, as we are watching this scene here, we are noticing all the cars, the public that is driving by this scene. Reminder of the chaos still happening right now in downtown Los Angeles. It is a Sunday night coming up on 9 o'clock, so perhaps many people are home for the night, not necessarily going out, say as it would be on a Saturday night, but still an area perhaps to avoid. Obviously, downtown is a changed picture from decades ago. Many more people live downtown. It is a place that has quite built up with high rises and restaurants and
there's actual nightlife in downtown LA now.
Exactly. So many more people downtown who just live there. And so, Matthew, I don't know if you can gauge a feel for, is it people who seem to just be kind of lingering around, people who live in the area, or actual protesters against the ICE raids?
Yeah, hard to speculate. I'd say it's a pretty large assortment of crowd, right? So you have people that were here to protest today, and then there's some noticeable agitators. I mean, especially when we were standing over the freeway, you saw people taking hammers, trying to get rocks to throw down on top of the CHP vehicles. We saw electric scooters being thrown. We saw a cone with some sort of fuel being thrown into the CHP vehicle that momentarily set it on fire. And right now, it looks like, I mean, you can see there's hundreds of protesters where you're looking at right now beyond First Street. And it seems like the sheriff's department here is just trying to hold the line at City Hall. And it's hard to know what's on the other end of the protesters, if there's more law enforcement or if it's just a long, if it goes for a few more blocks.
And we don't tend to think of downtown LA as being a territory patrolled by the Sheriff's Department. That is LAPD territory. So I'm guessing the Sheriff's Department is there in support of LAPD.
Which is unusual.
Yeah, they're definitely here to support. You can see LAPD driving by right now, responding to something else. And you can see the protesters giving them a bad time as they're driving by with that fire there as well.
And we heard from Chief Jim McDonald, who just had a news conference talking about how they deploy, that they were not aware that the federal government was going to be doing ICE raids in Southern California on Friday. And so that caught them off guard. He talked about how it takes them some time to deploy when you have a crowd scene like this, like we saw Friday, like we saw Saturday. And what they do, he said, is they roll 4 people deep in a police car. That is A, for their own protection, B, to get more people quickly into an area. Normally we see 2 people per car. But in a situation like this, they staff it with 4 per car. It takes time to mobilize and get in place, as it probably did, Matthew, for the Sheriff's Department to get there to downtown LA and mobilize with the skirmish line.
And I should point out that the police chief did want to dispel a rumor or some kind of narrative that is out in social media that it took LAPD more than 2 hours to respond to the call for help by federal agents in that federal building. And Chief McDonald said, nope, that's not true. 38 minutes. It would have been faster if not for the fact that the officers knew that they were going to have to go in with gas masks. They couldn't just respond. They would have to be prepared for whatever they were going to face.
You know what I find very interesting about this? We got an interesting update with the governor and Trump. We got to talk about this, talk about that here in a second. But you know what I find interesting? Notice that all these people are like, not the people walking. I'm talking about all the cars. Like, if there's still craziness and potential riots and protests still going on, why are any of these streets open for people to drive through? That's the one thing I'm kind of curious about. Why wasn't any of this locked down? Now, again, buildings aren't on fire. So far, we haven't seen any buildings on fire. Nothing has been crazy, right? Nothing has gotten crazy, right? Which is very interesting. But nonetheless, and that's great. If it's only been like a few, driverless cars and stuff like that have been put on fire, cool. If some buildings are vandalized, some spray paint and all that, cool, right? Cool. But I think it's interesting that all of these roads should have been blocked off. You got the National Guard there. You got LAPD, LA County Sheriff's Department, etc. You got all your best and brightest in blue, ready and suited and booted. Why weren't they locking everything down, right? Why weren't they locking everything down? At least the perimeter, not allowing any cars in or out, and just saying, hey, if your car's here in this perimeter, so be it. You're not going to be able to use it tonight. It is what it is. get in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, why? What's up with this? Okay. But then, if you noticed, everyone's starting to disperse. Now, I don't know if it's because it's a late, it's late on it. Well, it's not really late. It's almost 9 o'clock their time. So it's 9 o'clock. Everybody's suddenly saying, yeah, I got work tomorrow. Little Susie's got her ballet lesson in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden, everybody's starting to pack up their stuff and leave. At least that's what it looks like so far, which is interesting. Don't worry, we're not done yet. We're still keeping an eye on all of this. Okay, so please do me a favor, because I got an update. I want you guys to see this as well. I want you to see what I'm reading. Okay, because this is something you don't want to miss. But for sure, don't forget to hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Hit that like button down below. Okay, crush it. All right. Don't forget to subscribe as well, please, and thank you. Subscribe if you can. Become part of the subscription, okay? And of course, if you can, become a member. Hit that join button down below. All right, we're covering a lot of different things on this channel. We cover a lot of things. Everything that's going on in the world for the most part, anything that's trending, anything that's popping off in these streets, we are talking about it, okay? Everything from true crime to pop culture, a little bit of politics as well. We talk about it all here as best as we can on this channel. So make sure you subscribe, okay? This is something I want you guys to see for yourself. I think this is very interesting. This is interesting. Gavin Newsom is feeling such a type of way that he is saying that he plans to sue the Trump administration over the National Guard development or deployment. This is insane. This is interesting now. We got to take a look at this, okay? So, Governor Newsom announced tonight on MSNBC, his plans to sue the Trump administration after the president signed off on sending 2,000 National Guardsmen to LA. He's putting fuel on this fire ever since he announced he was taking over the National Guard in a legal act and moral act, an unconstitutional act. And we're going to test that theory with a lawsuit tomorrow. The governor also added that he plans to file the lawsuit as early as Monday morning, and his lawyers are working on that brief right now as we speak. So he posted the video, including saying Trump is a stone cold liar. I'm telling you, shots fired. Now you got Newsom and Elong mad as hell. Okay, let's take a look at this video. This ought to be interesting.
We talked for almost 20 minutes, and this issue never came up. I kept trying to talk about LA. He wanted to talk about all these other issues. We had a very decent conversation.
When was this?
This was late Friday night, I think about 1:30 plus his time.
After the protests had started?
After the protests, and he never once brought up the National Guard. He's a stone cold liar. He said he did. Stone cold liar. Never did. It was a very civil conversation. I've always wanted to approach engagement with the President of the United States in a respectful and responsible way. But there's no working with the President. There's only working for him. And I will never work for Donald Trump.
Dang. Dang, dang, dang. He just called the President of these United States a stone cold liar, y'all. Hamburger. Okay. This is going to be interesting. Okay. This is going to be interesting. So now he is planning on suing the Trump administration for their involvement in getting the National Guard deployed to LA. Now, of course, like I said, the ongoing question still remains. By bringing the National Guard to LA, surpassing, like against their wishes, against their reservations, the governor and the mayor, do you think it escalated things? Or do you think it stopped things, bringing the National Guard into the conversation? Okay? That's something I'm kind of curious about. Okay. Overwhelmed LAPD arrests at least 10 protesters in downtown LA. At least 10 people were arrested from the fiery protests in downtown LA, according to the preliminary data from the Los Angeles Department, which has also arrested 29 people. So you remember we heard 11 people were arrested? No, 29 people were arrested yesterday. Okay. 3 officers were injured with more arrests are underway, they said. Okay, they called the violence that spilled out onto the streets of Los Angeles during the anti-ICE protest disgusting, as tensions have escalated during Sunday's protests since immigration agents raided workplaces on Friday. We are overwhelmed. This is what the LAPD chief was explaining. He was explaining the violence against the public and officers is just intensifying. We had individuals out there shooting commercial grade fireworks at our officers. That can take your life. So he said many of the violent protesters whose faces were covered with hoods, masks, or helmets are bringing hammers and cinder blocks so that they can throw pieces of concrete or rocks to officers, cars, and the public. Yeah, there's some people out there that just want to cause a whole lot of mayhem for the sake of causing mayhem, okay? But nonetheless, this is all not good, right? This is all no bueno. Let me see if there's any updates here from NBC. Let's take a look. They may be saying the same doggone thing, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Yep. And Newsom's calling Trump a stone cold liar. He plans to sue administration. So he's not happy about this at all. So he says the suit will be filed very early tomorrow. Trump's order required the Defense Department to coordinate with Newsom before he sent the National Guard. Newsom said, adding that the administration failed to do that. All right. There's a protocol. There's a process. He didn't care about that. And the worst part, he completely lied. This is what Newsom said, noting that Trump had said on social media that everything was safe because he had sent in the Guard, even though the Guard had not yet been deployed at that particular time. That's not good. If that's true, if those allegations are true, whoo, that's not great. Newsom also called Trump's actions unconstitutional and illegal. His mess, we're trying to clean that up right now. He also again blamed Trump for the chaos throughout the city, which is extended into its 3rd day, which we already know. We've been watching that. Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions. This is what Newsom said. Newsom said that he and Trump spoke for about 20 minutes Friday night, but that deploying National Guard troops never came up. Instead, he said Trump wanted to talk about other issues. And he called Trump, as we heard him say with his own mouth, okay? He called him a stone cold liar. There's no working with the president. There's only working for him, and I will never work for Donald Trump. Where's your decency, Mr. President? Newsom continued. Stop. Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional. And I said it, I'll say it again. It's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving. Ay, 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 ay. Okay. Not great. Those allegations are some serious allegations, baby. Some serious allegations. What are they? Okay. Nothing over here. Let's see what's going over here. Let's take a listen.
What caused her to have that kind of reason for arrest? Assault with a deadly weapon, but a very serious accusation indeed.
We are getting this information also. The Little Tokyo Arts District station is closed tonight, according to Metro. Trains are bypassing that station in both directions. The A line is not running between 7th and Metro and Chinatown. Bus shuttles will replace those trains. Now, I'm guessing people who are watching this, not everybody rides the bus or the Metro in that area, but if you know anybody who does, going to or from work perhaps on a Sunday night, trying to get home on a Sunday night, that area is closed due to these demonstrations. And I almost changed the word from protesters to demonstrators to even agitators at some point, as with some people, as we look on tonight. But it's enough disruption to not only have closed the freeway today, but now Metro and the bus lines, or the bus shuttles, will replace the trains in that area. Again, it's a Sunday night. Tomorrow's a whole different story, it being a work day here in Southern California. I'm sure law enforcement wants to get everything under control tonight.
All right, I just want to rescind something that I said, suggesting that Lucia Aguilar Cole is with the Council District 14 as in city council person, but that is not the case. Council District 14, of course, is Isabel Jurado's district, formerly Kevin De Leon's district. So we're trying to figure out who exactly is Lucia Aguilar Cole, but some very serious charges against her, arrested apparently for assault with a deadly weapon.
They talked about the arrest yesterday. If you're wondering, is there any kind of follow-up by LAPD, by the city attorney, the district attorney? Yesterday, LAPD said 29 people were arrested for failure to disperse, one for throwing a Molotov cocktail at police. And they also said that they are, with cameras being everywhere, if you are a true agitator and you think you're getting away with this, they're saying that there are cameras and that they will prosecute and they will take people into account and hold them accountable for their actions. Right now you see a heavy presence by LAPD. This is again in the downtown area. You can see a lot of graffiti with words that we prefer not to show on TV, but unfortunately this is live breaking news. And you can see the remnants of these protests and demonstrations are going to be felt for some time as people look around and see the statements that have been made on somebody's corporate building there, somebody's business there.
Yeah. In the past, I know that the woman who runs the Italian-American Museum of Los Angeles, she was quite saddened, and I hope her building is okay. She's in the basically Olvera Street area, not far from Chinatown, et cetera, but not far from where we are now. And she was quite saddened that that there was graffiti on her building because it's an
Somebody's
older
tagging that
material,
wall
so very
right now as we
difficult to
speak.
clean. Not quite sure about like some of the federal buildings and how easy or not it will be to remove the graffiti. Okay, another spot fire there in the street. I believe this is this the turnout that is close to Olvera Street? So across from Union Station is the northern end. Is it the northern end or still close to the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center?
Not quite sure on that one, but it is in the greater downtown area. You can see with that heavy police presence there and then somebody setting that looked like a big trash bin, trash dumpster set on fire as motorists are driving by. Just that reminder to stay out of the downtown LA area. And as these ICE raids happen in Southern California and the protesters respond, keep an eye out and ear out for areas perhaps just to completely avoid, not to get caught up in the traffic or the demonstrations. Right there, a live picture of City Hall as the nation is watching what's happening here in Southern California. Some in pure shock and awe as they see our city burning right there with a spot fire there in the middle of the street as people are driving by. Is that somebody?
What are you looking at?
I wasn't quite sure what somebody, if they were pushing a cart or a stroller or what. But anyway, you have that street right there in the middle of downtown LA. Obviously, motorists are not able to get through that area. And I'm wondering too, Susan, as we talk about people using their cell phones, how much people are getting a thrill out of posting on their social media.
Oh yeah, this is going to be insane.
Getting that photo for their Instagram or their moment of fame, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a good question, but that does make it easier for either the FBI and Police Chief McDonald, by the way, pointed out that they've got teams that know how to scrape the internet and figure out who you are based upon the social media posts or the video that gets put out there. We just noticed that somebody brought over, we don't know what it was, apparently it is flammable, and put it on that spot fire there, something that was carried over, and it took a couple people to do it because there was some heft to it. And you see, now we see other people that have decided to find things that perhaps are flammable. Let's add it to this fire. And you have to wonder, at this point, it's a focus for whomever these people are. I just hesitate to call them protesters, because how does this protest the raids by ICE agents? How long will LAPD, law enforcement, allow this to go on, allow this to affect traffic, allow this to become sort of a drawing, a focus for some people that want to hang out in downtown Los Angeles and cause chaos?
Well, what happens is they move from block to block to block to block. In case you're just joining us, this is Fox 11 News. We are on early. Normally we are on at 10 o'clock with Susan Hirasuna. I'm Christine Devine, joining in for this live coverage on day 3 of protests here in the greater Los Angeles area here. And this is a scene at night. You have this Sunday night scene here in downtown LA. Not a lot of people holding, you know, anti-ICE signs in this crowd. So you have to wonder, look at somebody there has a tripod set up in the middle of the road with a camera as they're documenting this scene. And you can see just steps away
there's
from
going to be
our beautiful City Hall building.
There's going to be footage of this for days, but right now, I mean, it looks like everything just as soon as the nights, you know, as soon as the light, the sun went down, it looks like everything is just kind of calm for now. Maybe it'll escalate a little bit more overnight. I don't know. It depends on what happens tomorrow. Maybe people are tired today, and maybe it'll get worse tomorrow. I don't know. But we are going to be looking into that and keeping an eye on it. Obviously, it's getting late in my neck of the woods, so I'm going to be ending the show here for now. I'm glad that it's not, at least for right now, it looks like it's starting to just kind of quiet down, and people are just are going home. Again, like I said before, maybe people just have to go to work tomorrow. And so they're just like, hey, okay, well, we did what I did. We did what we did. We got to go. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what the case is. Or maybe the presence of the National Guard got them nervous. I don't know. But nonetheless, it looks like it could be not as crazy of a night. But we'll see, right? We'll see what happens here, you know? Of course, I'll look into it tomorrow, but of course tomorrow we'll be back on. Really, you know, we'll be back on tomorrow morning early to cover the Diddy case, the Diddy trial, because that, of course, is what we've been in. Okay, and I think we're venturing into the midway mark, the halfway mark of everything. So yeah, this is crazy, but we're gonna be covering that tomorrow. Okay, but that is the show, guys. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Again, I'll be back on tomorrow. If this escalates tomorrow night, if it pops off again tomorrow night, we'll talk about it. Of course, we'll cover it and all that, okay? But tomorrow's a big day, so there's a lot going on. Got 2 shows for you guys, it looks like, tomorrow. So it's going to be a pretty crazy one for you guys, for sure. So anyway, do me a favor, of course, before you head out, hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on those other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. Hit that subscribe button here on my YouTube channel, please and thank you. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there. Make sure both notification bells on both channels are set to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Anyway, it's time to get going. It's getting late, but I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Diddy trial. Looks like I'll be on around 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. For those of y'all who are just trying to keep tabs on when we'll be covering everything, when we'll be going live, that's what the time it looks like for now. Okay, if it's subject to change, of course, you guys will find out very, very soon. Okay, guys, It's time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great night. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.